I think right now the city council, it needs to represent the change in demographic in Cranston. Right now we see the increase of Hispanics moving into the city. The Asian population, I believe, is second. And then we have, you know, a good amount of African Americans. And currently on the city council, you really don't see that diversity. And I would like to see that, you know, grow over the upcoming years. Even though Lamis is a Democrat, you know, it wouldn't be a bad look to have a woman, a councilwoman, and being Hispanic. I think that would be great. I do love Chris Sparks. He'd be a great member of the city council as well. So that is one thing, we need to represent our city. And I'm able to relate to all nationalities, all races. I care about everyone equally. So, and then also with the minorities, some of them, they're not as educated as our counterparts, and they don't really understand government. So part of what I would like to do is educate them more on government and how they can get involved, because we need more civic engagement of all residents of Cranston in all corners of Cranston.
Thank you. Stephen.
So when it comes to the city council, I think one of the main ways the council can be improved is increasing accessibility among the city council. I've heard a lot of people, when I go door to door, tell me that they don't really know who their city councilor is, and they don't really know how to contact their city councilor. And I think more of an effort could be made by everyone to try and make those lines of contact more direct. And that's one of the main things that I would want to work on when it comes to the city council as a whole.
Thank you. Chris Sparks.
Well, I can only tell you how I would be as a city council person. I have an open door policy at my home. Knock on the door, ring the doorbell, come and see me anytime, give me a call. I'd be more than happy to reach out and help anybody with any issue when it comes to dealing with city government in the city of Cranston. Personally, I've, as a resident of Ward 1, I haven't really found the accessibility to be there, the accessibility there with the current representative from our ward. So I just want to be that guy with the open door policy. That's how I would try to improve things in my ward.
Thank you. Mr. Favicchia.
Thank you. Well, the first resolution that I co-sponsored when I started in 2011 was to ask for greater diversity on all boards and commissions in the city and the city council. And we were successful in adding some female participants in some of the boards where juvenile hearing board, for example, which really had a need for that. And so I've always worked on those kind of things. We've had a great recruitment process for minorities with regard to hiring. But to address the question a little bit more specifically, we're going to be online as far as streaming the meetings, which will give greater accessibility. I think we respond to emails probably faster than phone calls, but I think we do a pretty good job responding, and sometimes it's tough. And I think that having that our meetings online will give everyone a chance to see the meetings. If they have any questions, they can email the next morning. So I think we're headed in the right direction. I think we have a really good council.
Thank you. Lamis.
So many of the candidates here pretty much kind of echoed pretty much what I was going to say. I've definitely been running with the platform and making sure that we also diversify our boards and commission. I think that is extremely important. I would also want to make sure that we have some gender diversity in the council as well. As Derek had mentioned, we definitely need a women representation, and we need someone also who looks like some of the members of the residents and that they're running for council for. I think live streaming is extremely important as well. I've said that we need to modernize our city government, transparency. Often I go on the city council page and so many city website page, and this is another issue that I've been coming across that I've been door knocking, is making sure that people know where to find things, where to find the minutes, where to go ahead and find the calendar, what's going on in the agenda, who's on the boards and commissions, information that should be accessible. I think that is extremely important to have listed on our city website. We are the second largest city, but yet there are so many other cities in town who have a better website, a more accessible and transparent website than the city of Cranston. So I think that is extremely important to have.
Thank you. Ed.
You know, in the 5 months that I've been doing this, I have to say that the council president is doing a great job of, you know, bringing our team together. And I think that we've seen an amazing last 2 years under his leadership. And, you know, the way that I think he can improve, obviously we have a lot of qualified candidates sitting up here in front of us. People just need to, politicians just need to continue to work together, putting party aside, Democrat, Republican, whatever it may be. We're here for you, the people. So we have to listen to the issues of our ward, separate whether we're on a Democratic side or a Republican side, and to continue to work together on these ideas and push them through. Like I said, you know, my fellow counterparts that I'm working with, current lawyer, you know, he works for his family's small business. There's some hardworking people doing a lot of great things on the council. So obviously anything can improve, but I look forward to hopefully being elected and continue to work with these great people.
Thank you. John?
So I second a lot of the ideas I've heard. I'm happy to hear that the meetings are going to be live streamed. That's something that I've discussed a lot at the doors. People want to know what their council people are doing. So making sure that, you know, those families that are working 2 jobs, or you can't get to a council meeting, whether it be because, you know, for a physical reason you can't get there, or you have other, there are other things going on, you can still know what's going on in your city. I think one thing that we can do is, you know, some sort of like a welcome packet, or it's a very transient board. People are coming and going, making sure that we're bringing everyone into the system. People are, you know, when people are moving into the neighborhood, they can get a packet. That way they know how to register to vote, who your representatives are. That's one way that we can welcome them in, bring people into the process. And another thing that I'd like to see, and I hope everyone else will consider, is that going forward, we support a change so that on the committees, to make the council work better, on the committees, you have at least 2 members of the minority party on all committees. That way, if that person comes up with an idea that they believe should be discussed, someone else in their party will give it a second. That way, it can be brought in for a vote. I went to council meetings and committee meetings for months on end as people spoke in favor of a resolution prohibiting concealed weapons in schools, and it didn't get a second vote because there wasn't a second Democrat on the committee until after Parkland. We need representatives that are going to make real change, and if we're going to do that, we need to work together.
Time. Thank you. Tom?
I think the problem with diversity is, I think minorities are afraid to join these committees. We have a lot of committees that are predominantly male, predominantly white, and it is a little bit intimidating for a minority to step up. I think we should welcome them into our committees and hear their voice. They have real problems. A lot of their problems are different than us. But I think if we listen to their problems and we work together, we could diversify committees, you know, jobs, everything. And I think something like that would work, that, you know, tell them, don't be afraid to join, speak up. You're not going to be shouted down.
Thank you. All right, these next questions are, I'm sorry, wanted to rebut? Can I? 60 seconds.
Sorry, I can also add another way to improve the city council is making sure that we also work with many of the ordinance, but working with the union leadership as well, and our personnel director in city council and city hall, to make sure that we also diversify employees of city hall and in so many other departments. And so my hope is that we can all work together and also diversify and increase those numbers together, and not just have a conversation as how it's been happening, and that we can actually increase that number to represent the demographics of the folks that live in the city of Cranston.
Thank you. 60 seconds.
Thank you. Well, we fought for the last 4 years to get an HR director for the city side of government. The Democrats fought against it for most of that time. It was last year, I think, we finally were able to get an HR director for the 600 or so employees on the city side. And that's been one of his goals, is to find candidates for diversity. We've worked with the union leaders to help get free courses for minorities to take the courses necessary to be on the fire department, the police department. So we've made a concerted effort, and we finally were able to hire a full-time HR person who can solicit.
10 seconds.
That's all.